apparently Barack and Michelle are maybe not doing so well. Who knows? But Barack did show up on Michelle's podcast. Now, these two people are some of the most vile human beings that are a part of our national discourse. I just can't change my mind on that. And there is this absolutely odd thing that Barack Obama started to say here to Michelle. Now, remember, let me play this. Let me just play this, and you tell me what you think.
One of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
Mm-hmm. One dad.
No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And then that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right. So
what is that? I mean, I think it's okay to say that kids need positive adult influences beyond their parents, right? But this is weird stuff. By the way, when we come back, I want to tell you why this is so weird. It's not just the gay part of this. I guess Barack Obama needed a gay man to tell him it was not okay to say bad things about gays, but it's beyond that. And I'm not this person that, knee-jerk calls people groomers, but this constant sexualizing of kids, they don't just want to have a little influence on your kid. They want to take your kid. And they've talked about this historically, openly. Do you remember? Okay, it's not just grooming. It's the fact. Remember when Hillary Clinton, her whole thing, it takes a village to raise a child? The Democratic Party wants our kids to be indoctrinated and separated from parents. And this is, I think, one of the main reasons they attacked the nuclear family unit, because the nuclear family unit, mom, dad, kids, in the home, at dinner, talking and having conversations, is the single greatest threat to socialism and other radical left-wing ideologies. And they know it. And that's why they're okay. That's everything that they do. Here's MSNBC's Melissa Harris Perry. This is over 10 years ago. It was an ad. It wasn't an offhand comment. They made an ad about how your kid doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the community. They've been saying stuff like this for years. Listen.
We have never invested as much in public education as we should have because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole community.
Your kid's not your kid, belongs to the community. By the way, the socialists, communists in Russia, pushing forward at one point of very radical ideas. They executed on this in some places where they took kids away from parents and raised them essentially in orphanages. The children were not part of a family unit. They didn't have a mother or father. They were the children of the socialist movement, of the government. When Democrats in the U.S. speak in terms akin to what radical communists in the Soviet Union were saying, or terms that are similar to what they were saying in the 20s and 30s, you got to wonder. And I think one of the fundamental reasons that the Democrats are in the toilet in the polls just generally is that they haven't had a new idea in never. None of this is a new idea. They just dust things off from the shelf and go, here, this is what we're going to do. And this thing from Obama that he had a gay professor that I guess taught him empathy and kindness. Okay, well, I mean, whatever. But I think that would be that's their entire dream. They want every kid that is being raised in a good Christian conservative home to have some gay guy come along and fix the kid. And I don't know, from my position, my perspective over here, that sounds a little pervy to me and a little twisted. And he's saying this stuff out in the open. This is what he's putting in a podcast. Can you imagine what Obama says privately?